Well, we extend a very warm welcome to everyone. Thank you very much for your punctual attendance to our special webinar, Still Manually Adjusting Your Color. My name is Jim Luttrell, and I'm very happy to have with me Jay Rutherford, who's the president of Rutherford Graphic Products, and Scott Herrig. He's the application engineer for Xrite. So, Jay, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you.
And Scott, happy to have you with us as well.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jay. Thank you both of you for having me as a panelist in this webinar.
Yeah, we've got a nice topic, and we're very happy to have you attendees join in. Before we begin, you're in mute mode right now, so if you have any questions about any of the things that we're going to be speaking about, feel free to either raise your hand. I'll be monitoring this as we go through it, or we'll take your questions at the end of our session in the Q&A. So let's begin our presentation here we have. So first of all, let's discuss the reason why we're here. So from a business standpoint, some of the challenges that you face. Now, Scott, what would you say as you visit customers with Xrite, what do you see being the business challenges that a lot of printers face?
Well, I think a lot of this is really starting to come down to brand owners. A lot of brand owners are really starting to require what I would like to call accurate color. This kind of really means that they're starting to really look at enforcing printers to run to industry standards, whether that's G7, ISO, or some other very specific brand owner specific standards.
Okay, great. And so when we think about, you know, the challenge that they have, so when you say these brand owners, you know, are you finding that they're willing to pay a premium because they're able to match this color?
Not really. Usually the brand owners want their color to be accurate. They want it to be done correctly the first time, and they want it done yesterday, and they want it done cheaper than they got it before.
Okay, well, these certainly provides one kind of challenge. Now, from a production side, from the print production side, Jay, what are you seeing when you visit clients as far as the challenges that they're finding on the production side?
Major challenge is getting to color quickly with a minimum amount of waste. Customers today are more particular about their color, as Scott said. But also it's being able to do this without generating a lot of waste, and also of course keeping the color consistent throughout the run. I think that's the major challenge. If they can do these things, they can be more profitable.
Okay, so the whole premise of this webinar, and we saw the invite, and all of you in the audience saw the invite, that they're saying that with improved profitability is achieved with closed loop automation. So the idea would be that with closed loop automation, we would be able to reduce the make-ready waste, eliminate rework because of more of color accuracy. And we're also going to discuss the return on investment, like how investing in closed loop automation would bring these benefits. But one of the questions that I always have, and I think it's a good question for this panel, is what's the loop that we're trying to close? So, like Scott, for example, do you find that most printers, when you start throwing around the term, "Wow, do you have a closed loop system?" Do you find that they know what you're talking about?
Well, while customers have heard of closed loop, they generally don't understand what's involved with closed loop. The parts of closed loop, and what that really kind of fully means for their organization and for their production.
So then I guess the question that begs to be asked is, what are we talking about? What loop are we closing? What do we mean in this context when we're talking about, because even when I Google it, you don't get when we talk in our own circles, we sort of know what we're talking about, but what are we talking about when we talk about closed looped color automation, Jay?
Well, we're closing the loop with pre-press in order to get a good startup on a job. Going through the workflow in pre-press that we get the CIP3 data for our IntelliSet. The CIP3 data is processed there, not at the press. Comes out to the press, we preset the color on the press, and then proceed to do scans. Push from the delivery end, scan, and automatically correct the color. So what we have done is close the loop all the way through from pre-press to the press itself.
Okay. So I think the next graphic kind of helps to see that between the two companies, the components that they would need would be something to preset the ink keys prior to starting the press, then actually firing up the press, using the IntelliTrax to get a color measurement off of the sheet, and then have that feed into the software, the closed loop software, and then automatically ink keys and color adjustments are made without the pressman intervention. I guess in a nutshell, is that what we're talking about, guys?
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
agree.
Well, let's take part of these components. So Jay, why don't you walk us through, what are the advantages of a presetting your ink keys and obviously using this product called IntelliSet.
Well, the idea is to get as close to your color standards as possible from the get-go. There's no such thing as a perfect preset. Oh, once in a while you can nail it, but you get awfully close because the system has a learning capability. But on the screenshot you see right here, that's the screen that we use to set the color rotation on the press, and also to choose the kind of paper, because it learns by individual paper type. And then from there we would look at the preset before we actually say yes and go, which would be the next slide.
Okay.
So right there. So there's a preview of what a preset would be. In this case, it's a Pantone, one of the Pantone oranges. I don't know the number, but you see it's orange. And you can see the key openings of the preset overlaid on the orange printing plate. So you can see which key is going to be open how far in percentage terms. The key numbers are across the bottom of that particular image. Now, the tiles you see below have numbers in them, and that is the computed preset, sweep. That's the computed preset sweep. For example, on the orange, it would be 45% open on sweep. You see on the black, 35, cyan, 39, etc. So the press operator would see that, yeah, okay, and then would go ahead and touch go, which you see on the right. Then that would move all the keys to the computed preset positions. If this operator wants to adjust the sweep, it's done with the up and down arrows you see right there by the go. That if you touch that up arrow there, it would increase the sweep value, but the keys would come down accordingly. And vice versa, if you decrease it, the keys would go up. And there's a lot of math that goes into that to keep that accurate. Then once satisfied.
So does it just read? How does it know? Like, so it takes CIP3 information and then makes a determination for each one of the inks based on the CIP3 information?
Well, CIP3 has been processed beforehand in a system server we have.
I see. Okay.
And so when it's downloaded, it comes in very quickly. And then for the key spacing, that's done at the press. So if a job was downloaded to a press with different key spacing, it would automatically know that. It would compute the presets accordingly. But all the computed presetting is done at the press itself, and it's learned at the press for every key by paper type.
Okay. So basically then, before you even start the run, all of this adjustment has been made. And so, like, what would you say? Like, are you 85% there, greater? Like, how much of an advantage does this provide?
Well, I've seen it in excess of 90%. I've seen it in the mid-90s a lot, but I'd say better than 85 gives me a lot of leeway. like to shoot for the mid to high 90s, really.
Okay,
Uh,
great.
but the way that's done, the learning is a one-touch learning step that's done. But you do that when you get to color. You get the color with the scanner, do the learning, you'll get good presets.
Okay, so it learns from previous jobs, and then that accumulation of data then allows them to make intelligent choices for presets moving forward based on the stock. Is that it?
That's right, based on the stock.
All right, great. So then after that press has now had the ink keys preset, then they'll start the press up, start the run, and once it gets up to color, then you pull a sheet. And I guess this is where the IntelliTrax comes in, the spectrophotometer, to now, I guess, Scott, why don't you explain how now the next step, how this comes in?
Sure. So basically, an IntelliTrax is what I like to refer to as more of an automated non-contact measurement system. Essentially, what that means is that it has patent technology in its optics design that will actually, as it scans across this color bar, it will actually automatically track that color bar. So there's no alignment needed from a pressman to line it up to some instrument. It just automatically scans it, it automatically tracks it, it provides that data into our specific software called the IntelliTrax software. So it looks at where you are, where this standard that you're shooting for from a measurement perspective, and it measures every key zone, every patch in every key zone, and it displays that data in real time on the screen as where you are from where you need to be. So it tells you the difference between where you are to where you need to go. The IntelliTrax also has a 2mm aperture. That's one of the options. It actually has a couple different options for aperture sizes, but the 2mm aperture allows for very small color bar patches, which fits really, really good in the packaging market.
Okay, all right, good. So then after the IntelliTrax reads the color bar, then it feeds the information back into the Rutherford system, and I guess that's where we get into the IntelliLoop. So this is the closed loop part of it. So Jay, what are we looking at here?
You're looking at one of the IntelliLoop screens, and this one is probably the most commonly one that the operators use when using our system. So as you're saying, the scan is done. It takes the scan data and dumps it into IntelliLoop, and then this screen pops up automatically. It's a very fast operation. It just snaps right up there. This particular screen, what you're seeing on the bar graph is the actual key opening. Now, densities, etc., could be viewed, but you've got that over in IntelliTrax. So this is a good thing to supplement the screens on IntelliTrax. Is you can see the actual key opening because we read the key position after every scan automatically. So if you look at keys, say 13 and 14 on the black printer, that gives you an idea how far the key is open. The white line above it will tell you where the key will move to if you select yes for a key correction, which you see in the upper right where the cursor is. Now so that's a bar graph view. Now right above the bar graph, each one you see numbers. And now let's say key 13 on the black printer at 40.4 you see means it's 40.4% open. If you say yes to a key correction, it's going to add 10 points. You see the 10 right below the 40.4. So it would increase the key to 50.4% open. So this is a view the press operator can get before the keys are all automatically moved. And as I say, the system reads the key position after every scan. And so we know where the keys are, and this enables us to compute good moves for the keys.
So at this point, the press operator, after he puts his sheet up on the console, the IntelliTrax scans it, and he just basically has to say yes, and then the press will automatically adjust itself to get to color, to get to exact color?
Yes, yeah, it would do that. As a matter of fact, some operators turn off the ability to show the yes/no box and do it completely automatic. Now that's up to the press operator, but very typically they like the yes/no box. But if they disable the yes/no box, there's a different screen in the menu that you can disenable that. Then it would just go right ahead and move the keys automatically. Some press operators do that. They just set the sheet down, let it scan, and they walk away, and the rest happens automatically.
Okay. Now, in this slide, you mentioned how it also leverages the IntelliTrax ability for the best match feature. What is we talking about there with best match, Scott?
Well, best match is really a technology that allows for something called predictive color match between the standard that's in IntelliTrax, and the measured sample that's on your physical sheet after the IntelliTrax has scanned it. So what best match does not do, it is not kind of like an ink formulation where it will tell you how to correct the ink, but what it will do is it will look at your density, your ink film thickness, and it will look at the difference in where you are in color space, where you are in LAB and delta E, and it will tell you and give you a predictive change to your density number to give you the best overall colorimetric data, or essentially delta E. So what the really best match is trying to do is bridge the gap between the pressman's lingo and colorimetric data, because there is no such thing as an LAB delta E key on a printing console. It's ink up or ink down. So best match tries to make that bridge between colorimetric to density, so the pressman can look at the numbers and say, okay, I can get to the right delta E by just adjusting density on the press.
Okay. All right. Well, that sort of makes sense. So I get the spectrophotometer, the scanning device from Xrite. Now, Jay, your stuff is software. So is it really as simple as this box? Like, how do you connect to the printer's print console so that you can actually talk to his, the ink keys inside of his press?
Well, one of our unique features is that our interfaces are integral with the press. That blue box is typical of all the interfaces that we do, and according to which press that we're interfacing to, we change. It's different electronics on the inside, whether it's one of the Heidelberg models or a man-rolling model, Mitsubishi. The electronics inside that box change according to the press. It's mounted down inside the console, out of the way. It connects to the system computer, which also houses IntelliLoop, IntelliSet, and IntelliTrax, Xrite IntelliTrax. And then that box then connects to the electronics inside the press. Our interfaces are integral. They don't go through the card reader. We go deep into the console electronically, becoming part of the electronics. It enables us to do a number of things. Eliminate press button pushes at the press console, and to read the keys automatically, etc. Okay. The size of that box is small. It's like 2.5 inches tall, high, you see there, and about 6.5 inches deep and about 7 inches wide.
Okay, so in the next illustration, so this is an example of, this is obviously a console. So you just have across the top, you've got the IntelliTrax. So what is it? That box and a touch screen? I mean, what needs to be added to this console for you to have closed loop on an older press?
Well, it's a PC computer we add, and then the interface it connects to the PC computer, and the interface is mounted down inside the console. What you're seeing in this picture right here is an IntelliTrax screen itself, and our software and the IntelliTrax software is run on the same computer. So if after a scan in IntelliTrax, you would see the IntelliLoop screen pop up automatically. So that's what it takes to connect.
Okay, so it's all right there. Now, another question that a lot of our listeners would be interested in is, many of them have this functionality when it comes with a new press, but what about existing presses? Is it compatible with all these different presses that your systems?
Yes, yes, that's what we specialize in is presses that customers want to upgrade and retrofit to. You see Heidelberg there. We do most of the models of the Heidelbergs, CPC 102, 103, 104, CP 2000, and Press Center. There's 2 models of KBA that we do. There's 2 of the Man Roland that covers most of the Man Rolands. Several Comoris, all those that you see there. It's all done with that blue box and by us changing the electronics in that box for each press.
Okay, so you change the electronics in your box, and then that goes inside the console, and it can talk to all of these different presses.
That's correct.
Okay. And the other advantage is that this system, both with Xrite and Rutherford, are in a number of printers, well, from this list, not just here in North America, but also in Europe, around the world.
Yes.
What can you say about the amount of clients that you have around the world on this, Jay?
Well, several hundred now. We're expanding more and more internationally, so that's really increasing our client base. But that's just a sampling right there of domestic and international. Like you see.
And I'm noticing a lot. There's also, it's not just commercial print, but also for packaging applications. So this is also being used in packaging applications as well, offset packaging.
Yes, quite extensively.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, another question that I think is the big concern for many people looking to see, well, should we invest in retrofitting existing presses, is the ROI. And as it shows here, we have a different ROI depending on your application. So for commercial printers, it's less than a year. For packaging printers, it tends to be between 6 to 7 months. And for web printers, it's even shorter. I'm assuming that this great difference that we see, like for example, for web printers, is because they experience so much waste as that press is going. And is that it, Jay?
Oh yes, yeah. When you figure that web presses run between depending on the age of the press, between 1,000 and 2,000 feet per minute. Let's say a lot of them run around 1,500. So when they have bad print, it's quite a bit of waste that goes through there. And getting it up to color acceptable and getting it accepted and okayed, quite a few sheets are wasted there. I see it typically around 6,000 sheets. If they don't have a system, I've seen it go over 10,000. We'll get it down around 1,000. Let's say conservatively between 1,000 and 1,500. I've seen it go below 1,000.
That's on obviously a web press. More in a commercial print kind of scenario, they might be trying to between 500 sheets for make ready. So you're saying that it's that significant that the make ready can be that reduced because of what do you attribute the make ready being so reduced to?
The big thing is IntelliSet, the preset. If you've got a good preset, you're going to save a lot of waste. You're going to reduce waste. And what makes the IntelliSet, the presetting accurate and good is the fact that the learning step is done after you see that you've reached color standards with the scanner. Then the one-touch learning step is done at the touch screen so that the IntelliSet learns from good data. That will get the waste down. And then from there you get it to color, of course, with the IntelliLoop. And I think that's the secret. The two, IntelliLoop and IntelliSet, work hand in hand to reduce the waste. And then if you're reducing waste, then obviously you're getting more work off the press and increasing the revenue that press generates.
Okay, so we can see here for this in this instance, it's for $100,000 in a year. Now, I found it interesting what some of your customers are saying, because even though we're hearing a lot about, there's a lot of migration to digital, and I think at Drupal we're going to hear a lot more about digital print. But the fact of the matter is that for many printers, there's still offset print represents more than 65% of their revenue. And this issue about the tipping point, when does a job, and obviously we're talking about non-variable print jobs, but when do printers decide that they go between digital, and at what quantity point do they go to offset? Here's Philips Printing. What was your experience over there at Philips, Jay?
The experience is that they've really knocked down their waste substantially, and so he's you see in the quotation there that they're going down to as small as runs as small as 600 sheets, and not only that, but then they can deliver litho quality print as well. So if you can get your waste way down and deliver litho quality, you can cross a lot of the digital jobs over into offset.
Yeah, I think that was also Linwood Napier at TNN. I think felt the same. I mean, yeah, he goes, "You think I'm crazy?" I mean, it's even lower. I mean, he's saying between 250 to 500 is what is that what he's running on his high? Like that's when he decides to throw the job on the Speedmaster?
Yes. That's what he says in that quote, and I was very pleased to hear that. So you can see he said he reduced his make ready by 66%, and they gave the pressman a lower the plates, and the press was up to color in less than 10 minutes. So that is substantial. He swears by the system. Of course, I'm pleased to hear that. But he's really increased the revenue to that press. And across the street, he has a digital operation, but he's put a lot of jobs over to this particular press.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I'm finding. That's what I find fascinating. And same thing with Printwell in Michigan is that actually this migration, a lot of our printers are opting to, with lower quantities, they're staying with offset. So it'll be an interesting dynamic as this convergence of digital and offset continues. It just appears that there still needs to be efficiency on the offset side, just because of being able to get these make readies and the waste down. I guess that's what it appears that the closed loop color automation does for these presses. Is that it?
That's what we're trying to do, and that's what we do successfully. Is to color quality up, waste down. Nice, and then produce, as I say, litho quality print to the end user. They like that.
Okay. So I like this final slide that it talks about, because really, and Xrite has done a lot of messaging to this about this complete digitization of the workflow. That, you know, it starts with the client, the customer's expectation. They keep color digital. They communicate. Brand owners communicate through their supply chain in a digital format. And so as you go all the way from making plates to the press, but then if the pressman is now using his own eye, they're not using that same digital information at that final crucial step. So it appears that closed loop completes this digitization of the workflow, because now you're not requiring a pressman to be some sort of a craftsman. I guess you get back to the pressman being a part of a production manufacturing cycle. And so I'm assuming that just provides much more consistency on the end of the run.
Yeah, it's amazing how many printers have a very sophisticated workflow to meet G7, ISO, etc. And they go through this whole workflow, generate with the plates, comes out to the press, and the press is the last step in the whole workflow. And then they start setting color manually. We like to say that we're the last step in the digital workflow, and we keep it being handled digitally as far as moving ink keys is concerned.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Well, Jay and Scott, thanks so much for a very good presentation.